Hello, my name's Simonize, and welcome to another Simonize Guide video. Today, we're going to talk about a highly contentious topic, Dragonspine Trophy Priority, how you should assign this item in your raids. Dragonspine Trophy is a highly contested item that is Phase 1 best in slot for many classes, and most will use in later phases as well. Many people ask, which class benefits the most from Dragonspine Trophy? They want to know which class benefits the most to help inform a decision about which players should receive the item first. What class or what player benefits the most from an item should not be the only factor to decide which player to give it to. Different guilds will handle loot differently and could consider many different factors such as attendance, attitude, reliability, how many phases the item is BIS for, or others when deciding who gets an item. Raid DPS gain should not be the only factor in a smart guild. In this video, we're going to answer a specific question. Which player should be given Dragonspine Trophy to add the most to total raid DPS in Phase 1? We'll combine theory and practice to arrive at a decision tailored to the actual players in your raid. Here is what we're going to do, our methodology. First, we're going to compare the best setup in Phase 1 with Dragonspine Trophy and the next best setup without Dragonspine Trophy for each class in consideration. We're going to exclude Naxxramas items because it's not reasonable to assume your players can go back to Naxxramas to get a second best item out of there. We're going to consider the percentage gain instead of the raw gain of DPS, and we're going to explain why we do that in a little bit. Then finally, we're going to combine the percentage gain that the theory tells us with the actual raid DPS of your actual players. First, what does the theory say? We were going to use 5 different tools created by experts of each class. We're going to use Grox Empire's port of Katy Perry's WoW Fury Sim. We're going to use Dizzyit's Hunter Simulator. We're going to use my own Rogue spreadsheet. We're going to use Nijanen's Shaman DPS and TPS spreadsheet. And we're going to use Dulkin's spreadsheet for Retribution Paladins to give us estimates on what the theory says the DPS gain of Dragonspine Trophy compared to the next best item is for each of these classes. Now, why don't we use the raw damage gain? Why are we using percentage gains? Well, these different tools assume many ideal circumstances and ideal execution by your players. No player actually achieves their theoretical maximum DPS in-game, and thus will never actually realize the theoretical raw DPS gain from an item in-game. Using percentage helps alleviate differences between different tool authors. Some authors may make more or less considerations for realism versus theoretical perfection, which affect each tool's measure of raw DPS output. Using percentage gain means that we only need to assume that each different tool is internally consistent. That is, it measures items against each other properly within its own assumptions. We don't worry about if every tool used is making the same assumptions. Now, here's the table that we get from using all those different tools and combining best in slot Phase 1 gear with the best trinkets and the second best trinket setups. The raw DPS estimates from each tool are displayed, and in this column here, we have the raw gain, and then we have the percentage gain over here, and this is what we care about. Now, we're going to combine those percentage gains with what your players are actually doing. Your actual players will not achieve theoretical maximum DPS in actual raids. That's why we got those percentages. You should multiply your player's average DPS performance with the percent gain that the theory says the Dragonspine Trophy will provide for their class. Multiplying a player's average DPS performance by what the theory says is their percentage gain from Dragonspine Trophy will give you a good estimate of how much total DPS your actual raid will gain by giving DST to that actual player, rather than, say, a theoretically perfect player that doesn't actually exist. So here's an example. We have Fury Warrior Joe dealing an average of 1200 DPS. We have Rogue Jim doing an average of 1250 DPS. We have Beast Mastery Hunter James, who does 2,600 DPS when they're melee weaving, and 2,150 DPS when not melee weaving. I completely made these numbers up. These are for an example. So, for Fury Warrior Joe, we take that 1200 DPS and we look at Fury Warrior is 26597. So we multiply that and we say we're going to gain about 31.9 DPS right here. If we give it to Rogue Jim, we take his average DPS times his percentage gain, we get about 31.7. Now for the hunters, there's a big difference when they're melee weaving versus not melee weaving. And you can see the DPS gain is significantly different. 60 when they're melee weaving, and only about 27 when James is not melee weaving. Now, your actual players almost certainly will perform differently than Joe, Jim, and James. That's why you shouldn't rely on theory alone. Individual players have different skill levels and different ability to execute complex rotations. You should combine theory and practice to determine maximum raid DPS gain. Now, we have some notes here. A couple different points that I want to make to really flesh out the entirety of the discussion. And first, I want to address that to fully realize the benefits of DST, hunters need to change their steady shot timing based on which temporary haste buffs they have active. There are add-ons and weak auras that can help with this, but this is an added level of difficulty and complexity that not all players will be able to handle or do properly. If a hunter cannot adapt in this way, they will realize much less benefit from Dragonspine Trophy. DST is most exceptional when hunters can melee weave, as is reflected by the theory. Melee weaving is not feasible on some engagements. It's simply not something they should be doing. Executing it correct when it is feasible is difficult. A hunter who cannot or does not melee weave properly realizes less benefit from Dragonspine Trophy. That is why I used Dizzyit's tool to display a properly executed weaving hunter and a non-weaving hunter. Rogues and warriors do not need to do anything special to realize the full benefit of Dragonspine Trophy. This means pretty much all rogues and warriors will be able to realize full benefit from Dragonspine Trophy. Shamans have a soft cap for haste relating to the internal cooldown of Wind Fury weapon. If the DST proc pushes them past this cap, it will be less valuable to them. Ret Paladins have a soft cap for haste relating to their seal twisting mechanic. If the DST proc pushes them past this cap, it will be less valuable to them. I'm pretty sure that the tools used account for the soft cap of haste for Enhance and Rets, and that is why their percentage gain is rather low. I set all the tools' time setting to 180 seconds. Fight time significantly influences the value of some trinket options. I had to do a custom edit to the average uptime field for Bloodlust Brooch and Abacus of Violent odds in Dulkin's Ret Paladin sheet since it did not have a specific time setting I could change. Many of these tools are still in development. You can absolutely use newer versions of these tools to generate new percentages and apply the same method in the future. While most of these are work in progress, they're the best available that we have right now to generate these figures. By all reasonable estimates, Dragonspine Trophy is a rare item. It is very possible that not everyone who wants Dragonspine Trophy will be able to get it, even raiding with the same group of players throughout the entire expansion. Estimates put Dragonspine Trophy drop chance between 10 and 15%. And here's a table that shows different drop chances and your chance to see a certain number of Dragonspine Trophies over 16 weeks or 4 months of raiding. With a 10 or 15% drop chance, you're probably only seeing 2 or 3 Dragonspine Trophies in a 4-month period. It's a very limited item. Now, some guilds, of course, will get lucky and some will get unlucky. These are averages, something you can expect. As far as I know, Enhance, Ret Paladins, and Hunters have close alternatives to Dragonspine Trophy in Phase 3, and finally stop wanting to use Dragonspine Trophy with access to Phase 5 items. For Rogues and Warriors, Dragonspine Trophy is far and away the best trinket, and the alternatives do not come close at any phase in the game. That concludes this video about Dragonspine Trophy priority. Remember that raid DPS gain is not the only metric that you should use to determine who gets an item. There are many more important factors that go into keeping a cohesive and fun guild together. Screeching that Hatman or a spreadsheet said you would gain 5 more DPS then the next person and thus should get Dragonspine Trophy first is not the point of this video. And if that's your takeaway, you have misunderstood me. Thanks for watching the Simonize Show. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Can't wait for more sweet videos? Links are on screen that you can watch right now. Be sure to join the Discord server and pop by on Twitch to catch me live. Links to both are in the video description. Thank you for watching and have a great day.